Good morning, children. Lesson 4. A truly beautiful mind is going on. You know, Albert Einstein was born on March 14th, 1879, in the German city of Ulm. He had no signs of greatness. His mother thought that he was a freak. I have told you many times, freak, abnormal, you can say it, Sonaki. When he learned to speak, he spoke everything twice. He was boring for other children, so he played by himself much of the time. He loved mechanical toys. Looking at his newborn sister Maja, he asked where her wheels were. A headmaster told his father that Einstein would never make a success at anything. Einstein began playing at the age of 6. Later, he became a gifted violinist. But Einstein was not a bad pupil. He joined a high school in Munich. He scored good marks in every subject. He clashed with his teachers. He did not like strict discipline and order in school. He left school for good at the age of 15. A year before, his parents had moved to Milan. They left him with relatives. He was able to continue his education in Switzerland. Einstein was highly gifted in mathematics. He was interested in physics also. He decided to study at a university of Zurich. He had a special interest in a fellow student. Her name was Mileva Maric. She was a clever creature. She was a Serb. The university in Zurich was one of the few universities in Europe where women could get degrees. Therefore, she had come to Switzerland. The couple fell in love. However, their love was expressed in signs. At the age of 21, Albert Einstein got his university degree. He also got a job. He became a technical expert in the patent office in Bern in 1920. He was also actually developing his own idea in secret. He called his desk as the Bureau of Theoretical Physics. His special theory of relativity, one of the famous papers of 1905, was Einstein's special theory of relativity. According to it, time and distance are not absolute. For example, Two perfectly accurate clocks will not show the same time if they come together after a journey. From this followed the world's most famous formula. It describes the relationship between mass and energy. E equal to mc square. E stands for energy, m for mass, and c for the speed of light in a vacuum, which is about 3 lakh kilometer per second. Dear children, Einstein was solving the most difficult problem in physics. His private life was starting to fail. He wanted to marry Mileva, but his mother was against it. She thought Mileva was too old for him. He was 3 years older than Einstein. She was also bothered by Mileva's intelligence. The pair finally married in January 1903. They had two sons, but a few years later, the marriage failed. The couple finally divorced in 1919. Einstein married his cousin Elsa the same year. Yesterday, we had already discussed up to paragraph number 11. Today, we are going to start paragraph number 12. Okay? Einstein new personal chapter coincided, means matched with his rise to world fame. In 1915, he had published his general theory of relativity, which provided a new interpretation of gravity. Have you heard about gravity in your science subject? Yes. An eclipse of the sun in 1919 brought proof. Do you understand? Lunar eclipse and solar eclipse? Yes. An eclipse of the sun in 1919 brought proof that it was accurate. Einstein had correctly calculated in advance the extent to which the light from fixed stars would be deflected through the sun's gravitational field. Deflected means changed direction because it hit something. The newspapers proclaimed his work as a scientific revolution. Dear children, paragraph number 12 is very, very important for you. I would like to ask some questions. What proved Einstein's theory of relativity as accurate and when? Listen my question again. What proved Einstein's theory of relativity and accurate and when? What proved? Do you remember? That is eclipse. Lunar or solar? That is solar eclipse in 1919 proved it as accurate. Are you clear to this line? Paragraph number 12 is very important for you. And I think you can say that was solar eclipse in 1919 proved it as accurate. What did Einstein's theory of relativity actually do? Be careful to listen this question. What did Einstein's theory of relativity actually do? Einstein's theory of relativity actually provided a new interpretation of what? Gravity. Einstein's theory of relativity actually provided a new interpretation of gravity. Next, how did the press look at Einstein's theory of relativity? Press. The press looked at Einstein's theory of relativity as a scientific revolution. Can you tell me the meaning of provided? That is, gave out. Next, I think you have understood this paragraph 12 well. Paragraph number 13. Einstein received the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1921. Remember this year. He was showered with honors and invitation from all over the world and lauded by the press. Praised, प्रशंसा किया गया by the press. Paragraph number 14. When the Nazis of Germany, when the Nazis came to power in Germany in 1933, Einstein immigrated to the United States of America. 5 years later, the discovery of nuclear fission in Berlin had American physicists in an uproar. Dear children, what is fission? And what is fusion? Perhaps you have studied in your science book. Fission and fusion. So discuss with your science teacher. Fission is split. Nuclear is split. Okay, may I start? 5 years later, the discovery of nuclear fission in Berlin had American physicists in an uproar, very upset. Many of them had fled from fascism, just as Einstein had, and now they were afraid the Nazis could build and use an atomic bomb. First time. At the urging of a colleague, requesting of a colleague, Einstein wrote a letter to the American President Franklin D. Roosevelt on 2nd August 1939, in which he warned, A single bomb of this type, what type? Nuclear, the bomb, nuclear bomb, exploded in a port might very well destroy the whole port together with some of the surrounding territory, he wrote to the President of America. His words did not fail to have an effect. The Americans developed the atomic bomb in a secret project of their own and dropped it on the Japanese city of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. This was time of Second World War. And after dropping this bomb, Second World War was declared to be stopped. Remember this. Einstein was deeply shaken by the extent of the destruction. Yes, he was upset. This time he wrote a public missive to the United Nations. Missive is letter, especially long and official. In it he proposed the formation of a world government. This was his proposal, to form a world government. Unlike the letter to Roosevelt, this one made no impact. But over the next decade, a time of 10 years, Einstein got ever more involved in politics, agitating for an end to the arms build-up and using his popularity to campaign for peace and democracy. When Einstein died in 1955 and world citizen as much as a scientific genius. Dear children, I think this lesson is very, very interesting. I would like to suggest you read again and again this lesson. If you have any difficulty, listen this video again and again, and I think you will understand this lesson very well. In my next class, I shall discuss about the exercises of the lesson. We shall meet again on Monday. Thank you, children.